Hi, and welcome to another in my series of classic licks guitar lessons. In this lesson we're going to take a look at the playing of Little Milton. Little Milton Campbell was perhaps best known for his more soulful blues that he recorded for Chess Records and later for Stax Records in the mid to late 60s. But as far as blues guitar goes, my favorite Little Milton guitar work comes from his few recordings that he did for the Bobbin label in St. Louis in the late 50s. And I'm no expert on Little Milton. I've never saw the guy play guitar. I've seen some of the videos on YouTube and things like that. But I'm just going to show you some of the ideas that I've picked up from listening to Little Milton, and that's what this whole Classic Lick series is all about. Starting out, Little Milton's playing is very similar to that of B.B. King, early B.B. King stuff. And in fact, from what I've read, B.B. King was a hero or an idol of Little Milton as he grew up and got into his guitar playing. Now what I've looked at, there's really three periods of Little Milton guitar playing. His real early stuff on Chess Records is very raw, really raw stuff, and later I'm going to teach one of the songs that he recorded there. In this lesson we're going to focus on the second stage, which is where I think he did his most creative and most interesting guitar work. And then later he played for Chess Records and some others too, where he had more of a soulful sound, a lot of blues single string runs. And my thinking is that if you learn what he did with the Bobbin stuff, then the other things will be pretty easy. So starting out, his Bobbin recordings, songs like That Will Never Do and I Found a Love and Operator and stuff like that, these are some great blues songs. And in those songs he plays almost exclusively in the first and second blues box position. So his style in this era is really approachable. And especially for you guys who are just getting into this kind of thing, there's some really neat licks you can pick up from his playing. Now the first blues box, the first song we're going to get some examples from is in the key of G. So we're talking about the first blues box position as played over the first position G bar chord. And what I've done for this lesson is I've just tabbed out a series of licks that you can hear on his different recordings, and I'll try to name the song when possible. I don't know if I wrote the song out for all of these, but I think I did, and I just chose a handful of songs that you can listen to. He didn't record many sides for Bob, maybe a dozen at the most, 8, 12, something like that as far as I know. So the pickings are slim, but the guitar stuff is fantastic. So what I'm going to do is just go through and show you these licks, and then I have them tabbed out, and with each one I may add a little more and show you some more examples. But the basic lick that I'm trying to show you is on the tab. So starting out, there's a tune called I Found a Love, which later Magic Sam did, a classic blues song. And he's going to start out playing in the key of G, and he does a lick like this. This is lick number 1 on the tab sheet. And that is a classic Little Milton. He likes to play in that within the box, like right on between the 3rd and the 5th frets. A lot of blues guys will go down to the 6th fret. He does that, but some of his coolest licks are like this one. Especially the way he holds the vibrato on some of those notes. That's the thing that he gets from B.B. King, I think, the most. So we're starting out with that lick. And we're just going to go from the 3rd fret of the 2nd string to the 5th fret. We're in the G blues box to the 3rd fret of the 1st string. Then we're going to do this bend with 3 fingers. I call these 3-fingered bends, where I've got my 1st finger on the 3rd fret of the 1st string, 2nd finger on the 4th fret, ring finger on the 5th fret. And we're going to bend up, and then we're going to come right to this 5th fret of the 2nd string and have the vibrato. And that's the cool sound. And Little Milton, you'll see, does that a lot on these. He stays right in that blues box position, and he gets some very cool, very soulful melodic licks out of that. So that's the first one. Here's the second lick. It goes like this, and this is a lick that is really the basis of a lot of fills and a lot of solo licks that Little Milton does. It's another typical B.B. King, T-Bone Walker, Otis Rush, Magic Sam, Buddy Guy. All these guys use this kind of lick. So that's a fill lick. I'm doing, starting out with a bend on the fifth fret of the third string. I'm bending with my second and third fingers. My second finger is on the fourth fret of the third string. My ring finger is on the fifth fret. And then I'm getting the second and first strings on the third fret. And then going the sixth fret, third fret on the second string. That by itself is a typical lick. B.B. King used that a lot in his early stuff. And then I'm going to finish it. I'm going to bend. This is a bend on the G string, 3 fingers, bending from the 3rd to the 5th fret. And I'm going to bring it down, bend up, down to the 5th fret of the 3rd string, then the 3rd fret, and then the 5th fret of the 4th string. So like this. So the whole lick, something like that. And then he uses that a lot, and he could go anywhere. You can keep playing. You can play this. And use that basic lick as the center of a lot of different directions you can go, playing a solo or playing fiddle. So one more time. That's the second lick, Little Milton. Third lick, we're going to do some G string bends. In a lot of Little Milton's recordings for Bobbin, he does these G bends. And he uses these as fills. He also uses them in his solos. And the tune, I Found a Love, he plays like an entire solo with those licks. So what I'm doing, in the simplest form, I'm just bending, same bend that we did in the last lick. And I'm bending up on the G string, first finger on 3rd fret, 4th fret, 5th fret. Then I'm pulling off. Pulling off as I let the string down. And he does that a lot of different ways. He might throw in the 5th fret of the 4th string. He might pick it instead of just letting it out like that. Pick. But he's basically playing, going back and forth between the 3rd fret and the 5th fret on the 3rd, 4th, 3rd and 4th string. Stuff like that. The lick I have tabbed out is just that simple lick like that. But he does all kinds of stuff just on those 4 frets or those 4 positions. And throwing in the bends. Like that. So that's another Little Milton idea, just playing on the bends with the 3rd string and the 4th string. Mess around with that and see what you can come up with. But in the tune, I Found a Love, I Found a New Love, he does that quite a bit. All right, another example of the playing on the bass strings. This is lick number 4. In the same tune, he does this lick where he plays something like that. And so he's playing here. And he plays a little bass fill, bass run like that. The way I have it tabbed out, starting on the 5th fret of the 4th string to the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. Twice. So do that twice, 5th fret of the 4th string, 3rd fret of the 3rd string, and then 5th fret, 3rd fret on the 4th string. So, and then 5th fret of the 5th string, and then 3rd fret, 2nd fret on the 5th string. So the whole thing. And so he might be playing a lick and then finish it up like that. That's really cool. B.B. King did that kind of thing quite a bit. So we wind up there on the 2nd fret, which is kind of in our G G ninth, first position G ninth chord. So that is lick number 4. One more time. One more time smoothly. Lick number 5, we're going to go from G up to B flat. So we just take that F position, first position bar chord, and we're going to move it up to the 6th fret, 7th and 8th frets. And now we're in the key of B flat. One of Milton's most famous songs is called That Will Never Do. B.B. King did that one, and other people have done it too. He's got a really cool lick at the beginning of the song, and I'm going to show that to you right now, and this will be lick number 5. So, let me do that again. And that is a typical Little Milton lick. And what he's doing, as far as I can hear, is he's going from the 8th fret to the 6th fret. 8th fret of the 2nd string, 6th fret of the 1st string, and then back to start it out. And he's doing that bend again. Same one we heard in the first example. Bending up on the 3-fingered bend on the 1st string between the 5th, 6th and the 9th frets, 8th frets. So the whole thing. And then he's going to hit the 8th fret of the 2nd string and then do that vibrato, very B.B. Kingish vibrato. Something like that. And that note you hear Little Milton use quite a bit, which is cool. Then he's going to go to this bend on the 9th fret. So he's doing, this is what I call a long bend, going from the 6th fret to the 9th fret, putting a finger on each fret in between. He's going to bend up, so like this, the whole thing. And then he's going to do this, getting the 6th, 1st string, 2nd string on the 6th fret. And he's going to go from the 8th fret to the 6th fret on the 3rd string. And then he's going to get the 8th fret on the 4th string, 8th fret on the 5th string, which is kind of cool. So the whole thing. Something like that. So the whole lick. Very typical Little Milton. Lick number 6. Here's another typical Little Milton lick. You can use this as a fill or use it in a solo. Do whatever you want with it. B flat goes like this. And so what I'm doing is this hammer on or between the 6th fret and the 7th fret on the 3rd string. Actually, it's not a hammer on, just picking it. And then I'm going to go from the 6th fret to the 8th fret on the 2nd string. Then I'm going to get the 6th fret of the 1st string. Then I'm going to walk back 8, 6, 8, 6 on the 3rd string. And then wind up on the 5, which is the 8th fret of the 5th string. So the whole lick. One more time. That's another very Little Milton lick. Number 7. This is another typical Little Milton type lick. He uses this type of bend a lot, where he's bending on the 2nd string, 3-fingered bend. So in the key of B flat, let me just do the whole lick for you. He does this. So what I'm doing is bending up on the 2nd string at the 8th fret, 3-finger bend, 1st finger on the 6th fret, 2nd finger on the 7th fret. Then he's going to bring it back to the 8th fret. So then the 6th fret of the 2nd string, 8th fret of the 2nd string, 6th fret. Then 8, 6 on the 3rd fret, on the 3rd string. Then we're going to wind up on the 5. 8th fret of the 5th string. So the whole lick. And then that one he uses as a fill or at the end of a verse, typically. Or you could use it in a solo, which is another good example of Little Milton's playing. Number 8 is another kind of signature Little Milton type lick. It goes like this. Again. And so what I'm doing that same walking. We're back in the key of G now. Going from the 3rd fret to the 4th fret on the 3rd string, 3rd fret, 5th fret on the 2nd string. And then I'm doing this hammer-on pull-off between the 3rd fret and the 5th fret of the 1st string. Kind of like that. And I'm winding up on the 5th fret of the 2nd string, back to the 3rd fret of the 1st string. So the whole thing. Like that. Then we're going to come back to the 5th fret of the 2nd string, and the 3rd fret of the 3rd string, and then the 5th fret of the 4th string. So the whole thing. Like that. Check out the tab, and that is lick number 8. Lick number 9, this is our last one that we'll do in the 1st position blues box before we move over to the 2nd position blues box. This is one of my favorite Little Milton licks. It's kind of a descending thing he usually does over the 5 as his songs go from the 5 to the 4 to the 1. And this is from a tune, I'm going to play it in the key of A flat, which is a weird key, but when I listen to the Bobbin recordings, the song I Have the Same Old Blues, this is where I hear it being played. So move your bar chord position with your 1st finger on the 4th fret, getting the 1st and 2nd strings at the 4th fret. And the lick goes like this. So he's going to walk into it from the 4th fret to the 6th fret on the 2nd string, and then the 4th fret of the 1st string. Then he's going to go to the 7th fret of the 1st string, back to the 4th fret, and then to the 6th fret. Like that. And then he winds up on the 6th fret of the 6th fret of the 2nd string. That's a really cool lick. So it's going to be on the 6th fret of the 2nd string. Then he finishes it with this lick. From the 4th fret of the 1st string to the 7th fret of the 2nd string to the 4th fret of the 2nd string. 6th fret of the 1st string, 7th fret, 4 on the 2nd string. So the whole lick. And again, that's kind of like the base of a lick that you could take in a lot of different directions. And finish up a phrase like that. But I'm just showing you kind of the meat of the lick. Sometimes you can just use that same lick and stick on the 6th fret of the 4th string like this. So just again one more time. And you'll hear Little Milton do that on some of his tunes where he holds that note. Other times he'll just go into the rest of the riff. And maybe wrap up a phrase or go into the next part of the solo. So there, I've given you 9 different licks on out of the 1st position blues box. One more I can show you. I don't have the tab for this to round it out and make an even 10, which I probably should have done, but go back to the key of G, 1st position, and he does a lick like this in the tune I Found a New Love. This is kind of a cool lick. And this is one you hear a lot of guys use, but he's going to start it out on the, I think that's major 7th note. I'm no music person, but it's the 6th fret of the 2nd string playing in the key of G. So he's going outside that simple blues box. He's going to hit that note and then go to those bends and licks that he plays on the 3rd string that I showed you earlier in the lesson. So the whole lick like this. That's a very simple version. You can do a lot of different things with it. So the basic start of the lick is that note there. Then you go into the bend on the G string and you can really hold it. And that's what he does on that tune, I Found a New Love. So one more time. All kinds of things you could do. So that's 10 licks. So what I'm trying to show you is basically when little Milton is playing on these bobbin recordings, he's playing his solos and his fills in the first position blues box. For the most part. Now that doesn't mean he doesn't go out of that. And he plays on the 6th fret quite a bit. But a lot of those really cool licks, like that, those are played just really within the simple blues box. Now in the next lesson, I'm going to show you some of the licks on the second blues box. So Little Milton has some really cool stuff. So when you're playing a solo in the first position blues box and you want to go to the second, play some higher notes, some bends and things like that, I'll give you some ideas that you can use. This is nothing fancy. What I'm trying to do is just show you some examples of Little Milton licks. You can take one of these, all of these, none of these, and use them in your own playing. Or if you're trying to play these songs, this will get you started so you can figure out what's going on. Nothing really sophisticated. It's the touch and the feel that made Little Milton's playing so fantastic. Hope this was helpful. If you have any comments, questions, corrections, anything, send me a comment or email, whatever, and I will be back with the second part of this lesson.